Hey guys, and welcome to another Team Up to Darkness Ablaze video profile. Today we are going to be bringing you a Salamence V deck. So Salamence V comes in with a pretty, substantial 220 hit points, 3 energy, does 30 damage to all of your opponent's Pokemon on the field, and for 4 energy it does 160 damage. As it evolves into its VMax state, it goes up to 320 hit points, and for 1 energy, it now attacks 2 bench Pokemon for 40 damage. Or, if you have 4 energy, you can use the Max Wing attack to deal 240 damage, but you cannot use Max Wing again on the next turn. So while these attacks seem a little hefty, we do have some ways to kind of offset that. And in this case, we're running 2 copies of Porygon and 2 copies of Porygon Z. Its ability Crazy Code lets you attach energy from your special energy cards from your hand as often as you like to any of your Pokemon on the field. And, it works out with Salamence here. Going along with that, we have a Cramorant V. He does have a sniping attack for 170 damage, which is helpful against Dedene's on the opponent's side of the field, but also its beat catch attack is pretty good. Just for a single energy, you can search your deck for any 2 cards and add them to your hand. If your opponent took a slow start and you're not sure if you want to play in a really aggressive start, or if you'd rather take a more slow start, you might use Cramorant's beat catch to help you set up your Porygons or something. We have 1 copy of Dedenne GX, 1 copy of Crobat V. Just your common draw cards that you're seeing in the format now. Because the Cramorant, we didn't go any real thicker on either one of these guys, and it kind of becomes hard because Crobat values you having a low hand size, and you are playing a deck that has Stage 2 Pokemon, so it can be, a little hard to lower your hand size. And Dedenne, because you're playing a Stage 2 Pokemon, you don't want to discard too many pieces at a time. So, Cramorant did kind of fill in that kind of nice little niche role right there. We have 1 copy of Tyrogue with his Bratty Kick attack, or ability, Once during your turn, you may flip a coin, and if it's his, you can put 3 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. This can be nice for just cleaning something up, or gain some early damage down. Cramorant's 170 does miss Crobat's 180 hit points, so if your opponent had to lead Crobat, you might try to Bratty Kick it so it's easy to pick up with Cramorant later on. You could take the approach that you're going first and you can't attack, so why not try to put some damage counters out? This is really a card, though, that I saw it in a list coming from Japan and thought it just was fun. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it around, but it was definitely worth trying. 1 card that I thought was good in this deck is Double V. 210 hit points, it takes 30 less damage from attacks, and it does 120 plus 30 more for every prize card your opponent has taken. You do have 3 prizers, 2 prizers, and 1 prizer, so you can make that go down to 1 prize left, and it does 270 for 3, which can also change, as we'll talk about as we get into the energy in this deck. So that's your Pokemon lineup. Supporters. We have 3 copies of Professor's Research. Again, we like to go fast, but we are playing Stage 2, so we can't risk getting rid of too much. We have 3 Marnies. We like to disrupt other decks, but we also can't disrupt too much of our own deck. We have 2 copies of Erica's Hospitality. This is just raw draw without having to shuffle anything in. You do have to have kind of like a monitored hand size, but if your opponent played Marnie on you last turn, you're already there to be able to play the Erica's Hospitality and draw some more cards. Mallow and Lana is the first of our healing cards in this deck. Salamence can take a pretty solid hit, take a beating. It does want to be able to reset its Max Wing attack, so being able to go to the bench is never going to feel but so bad. Boss's orders, yep, we do snipe things, but there are times where you're going to need to make a tactical strike and go after something specific, and being able to grab it into the active spot is going to be helpful. And sometimes even it's just ooh, I can really only Twin Sonic right now, so let me grab their big retreat guy who isn't going to get energy very easily and go from there. That wraps it up for our supporter lineup. As far as trainers go, we have one copy of Chaotic Swell. I'm still kind of in the I want to counter Stadium in every deck mindset, and Swell can be, counter 2 Stadiums, so why not? We have 2 copies of Evolution Incense, both for Porygon Z and Salamence. 1 copy of Great Catcher. If you've seen any of my videos, you know that I keep saying Dedenne is going to be around, ADP is going to be around. Might as well be able to go take him down. We have 4 copies of Hyper Potion. You can return 2 cards from your hand, 2 energy from your active from one of your Pokemon to your hand to heal 120 damage. And if you can't return the energies, you can't play the card. We are playing, Porygon Z. Oh, sorry, you discard the 2 energy, and that's why what I'm going to say makes a lot more sense. We are playing Porygon Z, and we have Recycle Energy, so the Recycle Energy would come back to our hand when we discard it, allowing us to play multiple Hyper Potions in a turn, or at least continue our attacking with the Hyper Potion. We've got 3 copies of Rare Candy. We're not playing any Porygon 2, we just want to skip straight to Porygon Z. We have 2 copies of Pokemon Communication. We have plenty of Pokemon, so being able to get a Pokemon shouldn't be too much of a stretch. Especially when we, figure we have our 4 copies of Quick Ball. We can definitely get the basic and use the communication to turn it into an evolution. You could make the argument that turning it into 4 copies of Evolution Incense or 4 copies of communication aren't bad. It's just kind of one of those things that you're going to have to play around with and decide on your own. As we mentioned, Hand Reset Max Swing, we're going to be running 3 copies of Switch. You may Mallow and Lana and want to switch back into the same one because of the energy that's on it. So, it's there. And then rounding out our trainer cards, we have 1 copy of Reset Stamp. This is a card that I really wouldn't mind a second copy of, and it may come at the cost of like a Hyper Potion or my Swell. But, especially in a spreading deck, this card, just adds a lot of flexibility to that whole strategy of let me reset your hand and knock something of yours out. So it's, definitely useful. Rounds out our trainer cards. And oddly, my favorite part to talk about in this deck is the energy cards, because, that Porygon Z gives you a lot of options. So we have 3 copies of Recycle Energy, so anytime our opponent thinks they're getting all our energy off the field, we're getting it right back into hand when they knock us out, and then Porygon Z is going to let us play it all right back down again. New card, Powerful Colorless Energy. The colorless Pokemon that this card is attached to does 20 extra energy, or 20 extra damage, sorry. It'll help get some knockouts with Max Swing after some Twin Sonic attacks. It helps double get some closing numbers on things. All in all, pretty good. We have 2 copies of Capture Energy. Essentially extra Quick Balls for us. I like it in a lot of decks right now, just because everything in this deck attacks for colorless energy, because, we're running all colorless Pokemon. So being able to grab... another basic, like, if your first attachment of the game is Capture Energy onto Salamence, search for Porygon, you've pretty much got everything you wanted in that turn to happen. And then last but not least, we have 4 copies of Triple Acceleration Energy. If you're having a hard time finding energy, any other energy plus Triple Acceleration Energy will pay for Max Swing, and Triple Acceleration itself will pay for Twin Sonic. So, it's a good card to have if you're struggling to set up. If you get stamped to something low, you can play your Triple Acceleration down and still be able to keep attacking. This is the only deck where I haven't really done any shuffle playthroughs with it yet, so it's hard to comment on the matchup. So I'm going to kind of just give you the best idea that I can. With Eternatus, I think it's going to be a matter of, can you set up the Porygon to faster than they can get a whole bunch of damage on your Salamence. The way this one is built with the 6 healing cards, you do give yourself the ability to negate so much of their damage that they're going to have a hard time if you can set up on top of that. Um, so, if they hit you for 270 with a full bench, you go ahead and play your Hyper Potion. You're down to 150 damage. Then, if you can play another Hyper Potion or a Malulana, that's going to bring you down to only 30 damage, to where that 270 doesn't get you unless they can get some Zigzagoon pings. And if they're hitting the 270, they've already got some Zigzagoons on the field, and they might not have the nets handy, or they might not have, the extra Zigzagoons handy to finish you off. Against Sinistorch, I think you're kind of talking the same plane of play, where I think every matchup comes down to, can you utilize Porygon Z before you just get steamrolled. You have so much healing in the deck. You have 6 cards that all heal 120 damage. Your opponent effectively has to deal an extra 720 damage over the course of the game. You should be able to take, some War of Attritions, but let's just be honest, it's a stage 2 deck, and you're up against, Pokemon that can one-shot you when it comes to Charizard V and VMax and Sinistorch VMax. You do have a lot of Pokemon that are weak to fighting types, and I think we would all be kind of blind to say that there's nobody trying to make fighting types work right now, with Eternatus being a big player in our upcoming format. So having a fighting type weakness isn't the best. And, if you do find that you're going to worry about that, you could change up some of your energy counts to play Weakness Guard energy. And I don't think you would be in a bad place doing that. Especially if Pichu, Zekrom, Bolton, Toxtricity, any of those guys get big in the format. Removing your Salamence's lightning weakness can also be important. So, I think your goal in this deck, if you're going to use this as a starting place, is find out how refined you can get your Porygon Z's setting up as fast as possible. The faster your Porygon Z's set up, the better your chances of winning games should be. So hopefully, this gives you some ideas of things you can do. I know it's not as conventional as some builds where they're doing Volcanion and Welders and all that. I'm not a big spread player, but I kind of like the idea of it, and I just thought it'd be fun to play it with Porygon Z, because I think the Crazy Code ability is really cool. I think triple acceleration and powerful colorless energy in the format right now together are really cool. I just think the deck had so many tools with Porygon Z that you couldn't really ignore it. All right, well, what do you guys think about this deck? Leave some comments down the comment section below. If you liked what you saw, hit that subscribe button so that we can grow our channel more. And, if there's anything you guys want to see related to Darkness Ablaze, let us know. I think I've mentioned a couple times that our single prize decks will be coming after our first weekend of testing. So that'd be things like the only 2 that we have right now are Decidueye and Mad Party. We've already shown off Greedent. So, just keep your eyes peeled. We do know some people like to see those more budget options that have potential, and we're not ignoring them. We just are making sure to cover everything else first, and then get to the ones that, our excitement level to play is. Me personally, I'm happy to see us going to these big VMAXs. I like the big slugfest of Pokemon. I've never been the small rush fan. So, this is a format that has been exciting for me, and getting to build like 7 different V and VMAX decks before I even had to consider a non-V deck, non-GX deck was pretty cool. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we will see you around. Have a good day.